How many editing techniques do you think we can learn from a single 30-second commercial? I've been a pro editor for over 20 years, and today I'd like to invite you into my edit suite so we can take a look at a commercial I recently completed. Over my career, I've landed on 5 editing criteria: emotion, story, rhythm, sound, and action. So we're gonna look at the spot from those 5 different angles. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna share something about the commercial editing process that you probably haven't heard before. Let's take a look at the spot.
A little to the left, please. Thank you. A little more.
I'm okay! Get your money working. Get 0% interest when you open a new Visa credit card at America First.
First up is emotion. In particular, what emotions am I trying to evoke from the audience? To me, emotion should be the North Star of every project. It's not an editing technique in and of itself, but rather it's the foundation on which I make all of my other editing decisions. So what was I thinking when this script first came across my desk? Well, it's a comedy. So we want the audience to laugh or at least smile when they see it. And where's that comedy coming from? I think for this concept, it's the juxtaposition between this couple relaxing on vacation and the $50 bill doing all the work. So I decided from the outset I would do whatever I could to highlight that juxtaposition. There's also a nice physical comedy element of the bill balancing on the ladder and struggling, and the fall and the crash. So my emotional North Star is to get a laugh out of the audience, or at least a smile, and I'm going to do this by highlighting the juxtaposition of the couple relaxing and the bill having a hard time. Now let's talk story. I like to look at story from 2 different perspectives. Whenever you have 2 shots cut together, they tell a story, but you also have the underlying structure of the entire commercial. Let's look at a couple places where we really focused on story in terms of shot-to-shot editing. First, we have a close-up of the woman relaxing and then cutting to the bill in the wide shot.
A little to the left, please. Thank you.
A couple shots later, we do that again, but this time we cut from a close-up of the woman asking for more help, and then a close-up of the bill exasperated.
A little more.
We don't have all of the pieces of 3-act story structure, but we do have some key elements. You could say that the opening shot is setting up our ordinary world, and then we have a complication. The woman wants her face out of the sun. We have rising tension as the bill struggles to shade her face. And then finally, we have a climax where the bill falls down. And at the end of the spot, you could call that a resolution or a purposeful lack of resolution. Let's talk rhythm. One tip I give editors who are working on their rhythm is to try single track editing, like I have here. You can see all of my video clips are on 1 track, and I've even color-coded them to make it even more clear. Now when I look at my timeline, I can see this has a nice rhythm to it. In fact, I can even see a point of rhythmic contrast, where I go from one rhythm to a faster rhythm, and that's when the bill falls from the ladder. This was intentional. I wanted to add intensity to the fall. Sometimes I'll use rhythmic contrast to make a point, like I did here, and other times I want rhythm to be invisible, sort of like a great bass player in a band. You might not be able to notice the bass playing in the mix, but if you took it out, the song would fall apart. Now on to sound. There's some sound design at the beginning of this spot that I feel are really integral to the story, including this person diving into the pool off screen. Using sounds of things happening off screen can increase the size of your world without having to show it. We also have this nice tropical soundtrack, which gives you vacation vibes. And there's some really subtle seagulls and waves to round out the ambience. And this relaxing vacation world we've created is contrasted once we see the bill, where we hear a creak in the ladder as he struggles to balance, and his exasperated sigh.
Thank you.
A little later in the spot, we really add to the comedy with a body impact fall and the breaking of dishes.
I'm okay!
And at the end of the spot, we have one of my favorite juxtapositions where the bill is begrudgingly getting back up on the ladder and the man takes a loud sip of his drink. Now let's talk about where we cut. The woman begins to look around in shot 1 and finishes looking around in shot 2. I use the action of the woman closing her lips as the out point of shot 2, and then we reveal the wide shot of the Bill. In the wide shot of the Bill, I'm focusing on the action of the Bill lifting his left leg and then cutting out after his body settles. And then we cut into a nice close-up. I cut into the close-up at the beginning of the eye roll, and I cut out after he glances over at the woman, leading us nicely into the next shot. This is often referred to as a glance object cut. You show the eyes looking somewhere, and then you cut to what they're looking at. We have another shot of the woman here, and for the out point, I again used her lips closing and settling. And the shots of the Bill falling are another nice match on action, where the Bill starts falling in the close-up and finishes the fall in the wide shot.
I'm okay!
That takes us to the art card, and then at the end of the spot, we have an additional joke, which in the commercial world is called a button. We have a single shot, and my in and out points are focused on the man picking up the drink and then taking a sip. One quick tip. When cutting comedy, I found that it often helps to cut things tight. So for instance, on the out point of the shot of the man sipping his drink, I wanted to cut out right on the frame he finished his sip, or even interrupt the sip a little by a couple of frames. I find this helps make the joke pop. Now I'd like to share a little something about the commercial editing process. One of the dangers of analyzing this final edit with you all is that you might think this was my first try. So I went back and looked at my project file and found that this was sequence 34. That means I tried 34 different variations of this 30-second spot before landing on this version. More importantly, I got feedback on those 34 versions with trusted collaborators, namely the director and the creative directors. And we landed on what we thought was the most impactful version of the edit. If you got value out of this video, please subscribe, and you might want to check out my free editing guide, which you can download at the link in the description. If you enjoyed this editing breakdown, you should watch this video next. Happy editing.